My name is Ada Ledesma-Mabilangan, former president and current chairperson of the Kalaw-Ledesma Foundation. And this is the Scrapbooks of Purita Kalaw-Ledesma. One of my earliest memories was of my mother cutting and pasting newspaper articles on her scrapbooks. This was in the early 50s, and I must have been maybe 8 or 9 years old. After dinner, when the dining table was cleared, she would spread out the newspapers she had kept, cut out the articles that she had marked, and carefully paste them on her scrapbook. She ordered the scrapbooks from a supplier in Binondo. She specified the size and the brown paper that was to be used. On the cover would be written the scrapbook number. When she had filled the scrapbooks, she would move on to the next one until she had finished a complete set. My mother learned scrapbooking from her father, Teodoro M. Kalaw. He was an intellectual, a writer, a historian, and the first director of the National Library from 1920 to 1922. He is quoted to have said that accurate historical documentation can be tied in with the continued development of most progressive nations. I like to think that the mere act of working on the scrapbooks somehow brought back memories of her father. My mother had a strong sense of history and was aware that since her scrapbooks recorded art-related activities of a specific period, they would be a significant resource for future generations. But I don't know whether she had a specific vision for them. She worked on them regularly and faithfully. She often told me, just do your work every day, and one day when you look back, you will be amazed at what you have achieved. She believed that being reliable, or what she called stick-itiveness, was what mattered, focusing on one thing and excelling in it. My mother would be truly pleased that the scrapbooks were digitized. She was very forward-looking. She did not dwell on the past and always wanted to be at the forefront, whether in business or in the arts. I remember in the 70s, she attended the lecture of Alvin Toffler, author of the book Future Shock, when he came to Manila. She was impressed with his vision of the future, stretching her mind with new ideas, always excited her. My mother was known for being the founder of the Art Association of the Philippines, as a patron of the arts, and for her extensive art collection. But very few knew about the scrapbooks. I believed in the importance and wanted to share it with researchers, writers, and academicians. I believed that we had a treasure in our hands that needed to be exposed to a wider audience. One of the things that proved the importance of the scrapbooks was when Miss Kathleen Ditzig from Bard College, New York, was doing research on the first Southeast Asian art conference and competition held in Manila in 1957. Although she had gathered a lot of material in the US, she had not found any picture to prove that it had actually taken place. But in one of the scrapbooks, she discovered a photo of the opening of the exhibition with my mother among the dignitaries cutting the ribbon. This is what she had been looking for: conclusive proof that the exhibition had actually happened. The partnership happened completely by chance. In February 2014, I received an email from Clarissa Chicampo, a Filipino curator of the then National Art Gallery, Singapore, later to become National Gallery Singapore or NGS. She said she was coming to Manila along with colleagues from the NGS and they wanted to meet with me. National Gallery Singapore was in the process of building its headquarters, scheduled for completion in November of that year. They were meeting with artists, collectors, etc. in the region. In March, I met with Yeo Weiwei, Deputy Director, Charmaine Un, Assistant Manager, and Clarissa Chicampo, Curator of NGS. They were very knowledgeable about my mother and her role in the development of Philippine art. I was surprised that they knew so much about her collection. They were excited when they saw the originals of paintings that they had only seen in books, like Laughter by Anita Magsaysay-Ho, Staircase by Cesar de Gaspi, and Man and Carabao by H.R. Ocampo, all icons in the history of Philippine contemporary art. In the course of the conversation, I mentioned the existence of the scrapbooks and showed them a few. They were very impressed and immediately saw the importance and value. They appreciated that we had digitized them. Thus began talks on our partnership. While the original scrapbooks remain in our possession, we have lent the digitized tapes to NGS. Through our partnership, we have been able to reach a wider audience than if the scrapbooks and tapes had remained in the Philippines. One example is the research done by Professor Emmanuelle Sinarde of the University of Paris, Nanterre. She discovered the PKL archives during a sojourn in Singapore. On May 12, 2017, she presented a paper entitled Les Scrapbooks de Purita Kalaw-Ledesma, 1914-2005, in a seminar at the University of Paris. This was the beginning of her interest in Philippine arts and culture. I'm not sure I know the answer to that question. My mother's scrapbooks were done in an era when newspapers were the major source of news, an era when the written word held sway. Things have certainly changed with the coming of social media, emails, the internet, etc. I don't know in what form Philippine cultural heritage will be preserved in the future. I imagine it will be very different from putting together scrapbooks. But I believe in the need to remember the past, treasure it, and learn from it. The means of doing this may differ, but its importance in our lives will remain.